Getter is going to be a Twitter killer, am I right?
Well, you're exactly right there. We're already over 3 million users. We're growing. This thing is an absolute rocket ship. And it's not just in the U.S. It's about 37, maybe 38% of our base is in the U.S. The rest is international. We're growing in the U.K. and France and Germany. But there are a couple of things here, Mark, that I'll tell you as we look forward. Number one, you have free speech with Getter that you don't have with Twitter. But even with the new features that Twitter is now trying to charge people for to undo posts or have longer videos, those are things we're offering to people for free and all be implemented by the end of the year. And so there's no reason to pay money to get censored by Twitter when you get it for free on Getter.
Yes, and you're the only tech oligarch that I know that wears a suit.
Well, yeah, Mark, if you catch me wearing a blazer with a mock turtleneck and basketball shoes, then you'll know that I've sold out. But no, I'm going to keep my beard short as well. And if you see me sunning on the beach with a supermodel, then you know I've completely sold out.
Well, I might let you have the supermodel, but if you're spotted in a hoodie, you're definitely cancelled, like Mark Zuckerberg. Listen, we've reached the tail end of the COP26 Eco Summit. Of course, President Joe Biden was in attendance. How differently do you think Donald Trump would have handled COP26 if he was still president?
I think first and foremost, he would have stayed awake. That would have been great. I think he probably would have been able to control the flatulence a little bit better. And this is really embarrassing. You know, the last time I was with you in London, I came into the studio, and it was right after Joe Biden's disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. Very serious situation, nothing comical at all about that, but very much embarrassed the United States and our allies on the global stage. Now we see Joe Biden going back to Europe and embarrassing us once again. I tell you, Mark, I do not see Joe Biden running for re-election in 2024. I don't even know if he'll make it all through this first term, but it's an embarrassment to our country that he can't even stay awake or control his, we know his bodily movements.
We do indeed. That's right. He's got more hot air than your average gas generator. And is there a perception stateside that Joe Biden has fudged COP26? Has it been a sellout? What are the headlines, would you say?
So, the headlines weren't so much specific to the actual climate change issue. In fact, if anything, I think the U.S. media did a decent job of paying attention to the fact that Joe Biden took so many cars and was flying over there, and you have John Kerry cruising around in his own private jet and things like that. So I think the U.S. media surprisingly on this one covered it, but it didn't get a ton of attention. And I think the reality is that when we look at the U.S. head-to-head against China, you look at where as China starts to come back online, especially with their developmental aspects, that there's nothing that's going to happen imminently. And so much of the U.S. attention was really around Joe Biden finally getting a spending bill through, which in the grand scheme of things isn't going to put any more food on the table or any more money in people's pockets, but it's what the media here is chasing.
Whether it's Florida and Texas, who are very pro-freedom in relation to COVID measures, or California and New York, who still want to micromanage people's lives and basically introduce communism, America is very split on COVID. Do you see that split being resolved anytime soon?
No, I think it's going to continue to grow. And, Mark, this isn't just in the U.S., very much in the same way that our growth isn't just in the U.S. You look at what the big issues, say, in Australia, even in the U.K., where people are sick and tired of being locked up. People sick and tired of having the businesses on restricted hours, having to go and show the vaccine passports or flash the cards every time they go into the restaurants. This is going to be a major flashpoint going into the U.S. midterms in 2022. Quite frankly, I think it's going to be something that comes up even in the French presidential elections, Hungary, a number of other places that have elections this next year, because, again, people want to get life back to normal. They're tired of the statist.
Yes, and Joe Biden is cruising for a bruising in the midterm elections, is he not?
Yeah, it'll be on record pace. I'm not sure if it'll be quite where 1994 or 2010 were, which were the Republican Revolution and then obviously the backlash against President Obama in his first set of midterms. But it's going to be close. And I think part of the reason is Joe Biden has created all these crises. President Obama, for example, came in. He obviously had the global financial meltdown. his solutions and strategies were pretty terrible, but the underlying problem wasn't his fault. Joe Biden created the immigration crisis. He created the inflation crisis. The current crisis with China and their encroaching aggression, that is all Joe Biden's fault. That's a big difference in some of these previous examples.
Is Donald Trump going to make a bid for the White House in 2024? I know you've seen him in recent weeks. What's your best judgment on that?
I'm banking on it. Definitely, I'm not the biggest betting person, but I think President Trump does run. He sounds like someone who's running. He is very focused on the issues. You see he's upped his volume of statements that are putting out. And even with President Trump announcing that he's going to start his own media company, True Social, that'll be out there, he definitely wants to be back out there and getting his voice across directly to people and not having to go through the media. And, you know, one of the things that's pretty fascinating, Mark, is that President Trump, especially in light of what happened in Virginia with this big, huge gubernatorial election, he's getting his people activated again. In fact, with Getter, we've seen a 135% increase, even though President Trump announced he's going to do his own platform because people are coming off the sidelines. We're the only game in town. People like the technology.
Too right, and we love talking to you, Jason. I am delighted to be on Getter myself. I'd encourage my viewers to check it out. Very much the online home of free speech. And as you said, not just an American enterprise, but a global one for anyone that believes in freedom.